Welcome everybody, welcome to the Creative Bravery Festival and our first event of this festival, which is amazing. We're back after a year, and this event has been created as all, in many ways, Creative Bravery events are, by a collection of people coming from different perspectives, different angles. And so Hanneke, give a wave, is here, Lynn McNair and Sophie. Have put this event together. So maybe make sure you mute, that would be great, thank you. So because we all have diverse interests in play, and we know that play is so important to creative bravery, we kind of worked a little bit for quite a long time about what could this event be like. And we wanted it to be a playful event, and to pick up on why you need a sense of play for creative bravery. It's an absolute essential agreement to think differently, to have possibilities, to see things with fresh eyes. It's also World Habitat Day. So what does play mean for our habitats? And that's kind of one of the questions that we're looking at, is where we live, how we live, and who we live with in our communities. What does it mean to have play? It's often thought about play in relation to children, but we're thinking about, is play something for our whole duration of our lives? So as I was saying, it's an opportunity to play, to share, join in conversations about what play means, and a sense of how do we develop our playgrounds of the future. So what we'd like to do is to invite you to go into a smaller playground, a little bit of the playground that maybe you haven't been before, just explore a little den part of it, perhaps, a little bit of created there. We're going to invite you to introduce yourselves to a couple of other people. And we ask you to bring props along, any play materials or photographs that are about play. Don't worry if you haven't, just look for something around you that is significant to you very quickly. Anything will do, even a drawing. So a drawing, a piece of art, anything that you have that you might consider is related to play. And we're going to ask you to introduce yourselves, say a little bit about what's drawn you here today, and talk about what play means to you. And also, when was the last time you played? Okay, so what does play mean to you? And you can use your object to introduce yourself, but don't worry if you haven't got that. And say a little bit about what play means to you and when was the last time you played. So Verena is going to put you into small groups, put us into small groups to just share a little bit about that. Okay, so we've got about 10 minutes to share your insights of play. See you back in the playground shortly. I hope you had a good conversation. I'm going to pass over to Sophie now, who's going to tell you about what happens next.
Brilliant, thanks Karen. Okay, so now what we'd like you to do is to find your piece of paper with a hole in it, which you might have brought with you. If you haven't, just find anything to hand that is, gives you a bit of a view, a circle of some kind or other. And what I'd like you to do is to just explore your habitat for a little bit and have a good look around you. Look and see whether you can find any interesting details. I'm not sure how you're going to do this in your classrooms for those of you who are in groups of people, but just have an explore, just zone in on little details that look funny or unusual, or that you wouldn't necessarily just look at. For example, I've got some circles on my phone. I don't know if how well you can see them, but and there's another and another. Anything that just catches your eye, but you've got a good sort of 3 or 4 minutes or so to do this. So yeah, just explore your habitat, have a good look. It always used to make me laugh when our children were little. They used to pick up the camera sometimes and obviously take photos, and we'd download what we thought were the family photos onto the computer, and you'd look at a photo and think, and in the end realized that it was the inside of the cheese grater or something like that. So so that's what we're asking you to do. Take a couple of photos and see what you come up with, and then come back. And you're welcome if you want to switch your Zoom camera off while you do this, and we will see you back here at sort of roughly about 24 minutes past. So off you go. Happy searching. I hope that you've all got your circles, your vantage point. And so what I'd like you to do now is, Verina's very kindly going to put you back into breakout rooms, this time of about 3 or 4, and you'll have kind of nearly 10 minutes to come up with a story between you, between the 3 and 4 of you, that interweaves your photos, your images. So it'll be a story of 5 sentences approximately, and you can make them however kind of you know, however you like, whatever genre of story you like, but 5 sentences to come up with something that interweaves these images that you've just taken. So let's hear a few of these 5 sentence stories. Have we got anyone willing to go first?
Can I, because Paul suggested something and I'll pick it up very quickly and Lynn will finish. So yeah. There was a weird floorboard in a church in Ireland. Lynn?
Oh, and it was rather weird, actually. Paul?
It was only weird because a weird old lady and her weird little granddaughter noticed another 23 bears living in the church. The little floorboard didn't feel weird anymore.
Excellent. That was lovely.
We've got ours. Looking out of the window at the ebb and flow of life, the door crept open behind me, revealing the shadows and light, which direction to take.
Oh, very, very good. And then what about Anne, this group that Anne was in, Louise? Do you feel like sharing? You're mute, Louise.
Is she not here?
I'm here, I'm sorry, I'm here. I'm just getting one of the students to read it. So this was basically our little John here. Right, we can make this in. Right, on you go. One day, Billy the bee was buzzing about, looking for honey. He found a sparkly flower. He was confused, as he could not smell it. His friend Colin the caterpillar said, "No, it's not a flower. It's a black hole, and the sparkly galaxy is through the other end. Fly away, or you'll be sucked through, never to return."
That's brilliant. That's lovely. Well, we don't have time to go through every single person's every story, but those ones that we have heard are lovely, and I'm sure the rest are as well. So thank you all very much for sharing your offerings. And Hanneke, over to you.
Thanks, Sophie. Yes, my role. Why I'm hesitating? I've got so many questions now. Did we play? Was that play? So I've got a few questions. I'm just gonna throw them all out at once and really just see if we can start a discussion or sort of like think about what just happened and how play is present in our everyday life. So what's this play? What we just did? What is play? Why do we play? Is there a purpose? Does play change when we get older? Do you need rules to play? And if so, who sets them and who oversees them? Or maybe it's without rules. If play is instructed, is it still play? Can you play when there's an urgency? What do you need to play? And where do we play? And it's play, when you think about it, it's an English word, but maybe some of us do not have not started playing with the notion of the English word play. Maybe there are other words that describe play, and maybe that puts it in a different context altogether. Is anybody else who's got questions, just wondering like about play, they want to add to this? You can put it in the chat box if you want, or you can raise your hand.
Annika, I heard recently on a podcast a lady saying that play is really important for everyone because it connects you with your aliveness. So that was really insightful, and it brings hope. So particularly at times like we have now, you know, we need to play more than maybe we did previously, you know, if we need more hope.
Yes.
I'm interested in what Barbara wrote.
Barbara, you want to?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just what I've said, really, that I think from the outset, we immediately began to share our ideas. And I think you can play on your own, but play is perhaps richer when it involves other people. Solitary play is possible, but I think as soon as you involve other people, you get a much bigger, brighter, larger piece coming out. And people spark ideas off each other. Our imagination was certainly, you know, at the forefront of what we did. And I do believe that in an early year setting, that's where you see the play. It's the imaginative play that's just so rich, so diverse and so creative. So yeah, I think we really did play in that room. And sometimes, you know, the time limit is good because that had a structure. But sometimes well, certainly for me, if I have too much time, I navel gaze and don't actually just let the sparks fly and go with the flow. So I thought it was a fantastic exercise, and I did felt I played with my colleagues and got a lot out of it, actually. Laughter, of course, which is really important, I think, as well.
I love that. I think that really probably resonates with a lot of us, a recognition that it's not about somebody telling you this is play, but that you sort of feel like, I can play now, I feel invited, or I feel the urge to play. And what is that? And how can we, like, when does it happen? And for all ages, really, because apparently, Naomi, you felt like an invitation to play.
And it's very interesting because on the programme I work with in Wales, we have creative practitioners, and they always seem to sort of bring in an element of play as part of the learning, regardless of the age range of the pupils. They could be secondary school doing science or history, but there'll be that element of play. But it is a very egalitarian thing. There isn't the sense that someone's telling them what to do. It's a process of discovery and exploration, and sort of play to sort of explore a bit of new ground, really, to come up with some ideas themselves and to collectively work something out. But through the play isn't a sort of you know, an unnecessary part. The play, or a time filling part. It is actually a serious part of what they're doing, and that can be with secondary school pupils as well. It's really interesting.
Can I, because I think there are so many thoughts and inputs is fascinating, and I think this is probably a topic that can cover a whole week of discussion and thought and debate. And we should all do that. In fact, there's another event tomorrow about play, permission to play, and there's another event, I believe, on Thursday. So do check the schedule, because play is and it goes to show it is such a big thing. But what is it, and why is it important to us? So please keep thinking about it. But I'd like to give some time to Lynn. Lynn, you've researched play, and can share findings with us, and it would be great to sort of see how what you've gathered and found over the years about play, how that reflects to what we've just done.
Yeah, I mean, I'm listening and it's all the threads of everything that are so meaningful to me. But, from Plato to Kant to Froebel, we've seen really different understandings of play. And the thing probably for me is that, you get lots and lots of scholars trying to define it. But actually, the best kind of emergence for me is Tina Bruce's Features of Play, because she talks about the importance of kind of first-hand experiences and how children have to live through those. And I really liked what Sophie was saying there, because play is not frivolous. We maybe had fun just now making the story up, but actually sometimes, well, a lot of times for children, it's a very serious occurrence, and they play out things that they, that they're worrying about as well. So I think it's that serious play. So yes, of course it's fun at times, but really it's a very serious thing for children. And when Tina kind of shares these, and I mean, I know that we've got classes here from West Lothian College and things on this call, and they're studying play, and I dare say they will be looking at Tina Bruce's work. But there's lots and lots of significant points in those features of play if we look at them, and I won't go into all of them today, but if we think about children being able to choose their play, I really liked what was said earlier about children coming from different cultures, and without even language, they learn to play together. I was in Greece watching children, I think there was an English child and Greek children kind of tentatively finding themselves on the street, and then found that they started playing and there was no language shared. The language was the language of their body language rather than verbal language. And, I think that there's also something that came up when I was listening to the discussions about the importance of children playing with others. But I think we really must value the child that also plays alone. Many of us in our lives will spend time on our own, and I think it's really important that we have that time to play on our own. And sometimes I mean, most of us have seen this, where a child is playing quite contentedly on their own, but someone expresses concern and tries to get them to play with someone else. I tend not to do that. I tend to really value the fact that the child is spending this time on their own, and it's of great value that they are doing that, because you want people to be content in themselves and with others. So I think that's a really important one. I also think that there's an opportunity, as you know, and I think this also is great for adults as well as children, but also that they pretend in their play. I mean, although that seems a very obvious thing, that, they're playing and they're pretending, but they can get to play out roles that they're frightened about. So the goodie, the baddie, sometimes they are the baddie, and it's great for them to be the baddie, because nobody wants them to be the baddie in life. So it's really great for them to get an opportunity to express that and feel that. And I think that's really important. If you think about, there's no doubt about it that children learn through play, but I think, and that's a really important for when we're thinking about our children going to school. But I think as adults, we're also learning. When we think about children through their physical development, for example, and how that's linked to brain development studies, you know, if we're rolling down a hill or climbing a tree, you know, you would like to think, or swimming in the sea, you know, it's all good for our brain. The one thing that strikes me when I'm listening just now, and it's so fantastic that we've got so many people on this call who are all interested in play, which is absolutely lovely. But we often set up things as adults like scavenger hunts or team build that end up being team building exercises, rather than, because we're almost like saying, oh, adults aren't supposed to play, you know, oh yes, they can play board games or they can play sport, but they're not supposed to play. And I think that I hope that that's what we're challenging here today, that everyone should play and everyone deserves to play. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan, obviously, and I think that this is, for me, this has been a really interesting discussion, and I think there's just certain points that are really important. I think the not seeing play as frivolous is really significant to me, and the meaning of it is really significant, and I think that as adults we need to get out there and play more, and I think I've maybe spoken more than I should have at this point. So back to you, Hanneke.
I'm actually going to go back to Karen, but that was really good, Lynn. Thank you so much. Yes, I think we all still apparently feel the urge to play, and it comes in unexpected moments. So that was really good to hear that from you and your experience. Karen, do you want to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, and thanks to Lynn. I think that was really well brought back, you know, summarised all the kind of main components. And I think it's a very complex issue, and I think that it's the way we use play and how we talk about it that often leads into certain things like sport. You can often see that, and sometimes people do play in that, but it's not about that organised fun. So I thank you for summarising that, and thank you people coming. We're very keen to continue this discussion and to create what we've come to talk about as a playground for sharing ideas, for sharing experiences, and philosophical debate, as well as practice, a kind of mix of things, and continue this kind of playground over the sort of autumn and winter, and who knows where else. So what we'll do is we'll kind of put something together and maybe just email that to you. And if you're interested, let us know. And we think there's a lot in that to explore about play and possibilities. And I think that Paul earlier put up a bit about we're doing an event at 4 o'clock today on democracy and innovation and democracy. And I think there's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of actually, how do we involve people? How do we really get into the very essence of what it means to be human and our human habitat? And how do we use that in order to go forward? So this is not a frivolous playground. It might be fun, but it's actually a serious playground that we're inviting you to. And we really hope that you will join us in the future in this playground. And we don't know what that'll look like, but it'll be co-created, that's for sure. And there'll be lots of exciting and unexpected bits in there. We also have put the link up to Emma's event tomorrow. She had a big container box, and she's going to talk about some of the aspects about that. I think it'll be absolutely fascinating to see more of that. And we really hope that this is the start of a big conversation around play. And thank you all for coming and playing and entering into the spirit of it, and people dipping in and out and all sorts of things. And thank you to all the people that have come from their classrooms. It's phenomenal to see so many people and such an interest in play, and a great start to our Creative Bravery Festival. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming. And we hope to see you at events throughout the week, and get in touch if there's anything you want to do. This will be recorded, and we will put it up in the Creative Bravery YouTube channel at some point when Verena has enough time, basically. So thank you very much, everybody.